Hey, what's going on? Welcome back to the channel. My name is Nick. This is a channel called Watchlist Roulette, a channel dedicated to cinema and the discussion of cinema. And today we're going to be talking about Sinners by, I don't know why I'm doing the jazz hands. We're talking about Sinners by Ryan Coogler. Ryan Coogler is a filmmaker that, like, if I got to start talking about Sinners, I want to go back to the beginning. It was 2013. Fruitvale Station was the first thing I ever saw of Ryan Coogler. I believe that was his debut, and I had my foundations rattled by that film. That film shook me to my core. I was so taken aback by it. I immediately took note of Ryan Coogler's name and said, this is a guy where we're going to watch him with great interest, where he goes and what he does. From there, he took part in a little spin-off that we now know as Creed, which, at the time I didn't really need a Rocky spin-off. I don't really know if I wanted a Rocky spin-off. I don't think a lot of people had a lot of faith in a Rocky spinoff, but because I had known about Ryan Coogler from Fruitvale Station, I was of the mind that I'm not going to bet against this guy. And you know what? I like Creed. It's better than it has any right to be. And then we've got his involvement in the MCU. Now, this is not something that I talk about a lot on this channel. I'm not a Marvel Cinematic Universe guy. There was a certain point in the release of Marvel films where I kind of hit a breaking point and realized this is just not for me anymore. And I hate to say it, but that time for me was around the time Black Panther came out. Because of his involvement in directing Black Panther, it was probably the most anticipated Marvel film for me in a long time. I remember walking out very disappointed, and it just felt like Disney and Marvel are always going to be pulling the strings, and they're never really going to give a filmmaker, especially a very young, talented one, the room to spread their wings and do their thing. It just didn't feel like anything different from the Marvel that I had seen before. I have not seen Wakanda Forever, so I can't say anything good or bad about it. But now we're at a point I was really hoping for a while, which is we get to see Ryan Coogler work on an original film of his own. My interest and my anticipation of a new Ryan Coogler film kind of just fell off the radar, and it's because he's been in big franchise filmmaking for so long. And it's just not something that I was ever interested in. His name for me just kind of fell off the map. And when I got wind of Sinners and what it was and the fact that he was writing and directing it, I was just like, we're back. We're back. And this is a guy that I've wanted to see original work from for a long time. In my mind, he's a terrific filmmaker. And Sinners is another notch in the belt that proves that this guy, even though he was trapped in big budget franchise filmmaking for a long time, he's still one of the most promising of his generation, especially from my point of view. Now, what do we got? Well, this film takes place in the Deep South in the 1930s, sitting in the middle of, like, the Prohibition era. There are two twins, both played by Michael B. Jordan, by the name of Smoke and Stack. They have returned from Chicago, where it is referred to that they were at one point working for Mr. Capone. These are guys who are obviously shady characters who have worked in what is assumed to be illegitimate businesses and maybe organized crime. They have come back home and they are looking to hit it off big by starting off this juke joint, this music bar. They have bought this dusty old warehouse off of this rich white man, which they are going to convert into their new business. Throughout the early going of the film, they are assembling a cast of characters, people that they know, to come and work and take part in what is surely to be the biggest party that this town has seen in a long time. They recruit a young man by the name of Preacher Boy Sam, who, by his name, is the son of a preacher, and he is a musician, a blues musician. He brings his guitar with him everywhere he goes. Although he is excited about the opportunity, his father is very much of the mind that music is a dangerous secular activity that, may potentially kind of tear him further away from the light of God, and that maybe he should dedicate his time and his life to religion and to God the way he has, and seems to believe in the power of music more than anything, and he's going to follow that down. But his father urges him in great foreshadowing that the devil is in that music, and maybe one day the devil's going to follow you home, and later on in the film we're going to see how exactly that happens. Amidst setting up this juke joint, which is rich with great food and Irish beer and Italian wine, with which nobody really knows where they got it, maybe the boys double-cross some people in Chicago and maybe are trying to make as much money as they can off of it before somebody comes after them for it. They create this great bar and music. It is food, it is drink, it is dancing, it is somewhat hedonistic, sexually charged celebration of life that is happening within the confines of this building. Much as Preacher Boy Sam's father indicated, the devil is going to follow you home one day, and maybe it comes in the form of blues at a certain point in this film, and in this juke joint, which is already packed to the brim with drama and antics, and what starts out as maybe somebody spilling a drink on somebody else or somebody touching another person's woman. A lot of the conflict and the drama in this bar would be replaced with a much greater, much more sinister threat in the form of, well, vampires. That's pretty much all I'm going to do in explaining Sinners to you. To me, there's a lot of DNA of films like From Dusk Till Dawn in this film. I think it's heavily influenced by. I think there is a great inspiration and even at a certain point an homage to John Carpenter's The Thing, which is a film I love. But this film is truly its own. It's truly uniquely its own. You can look at this film as being very simply metaphorical about how the vampires are this kind of evil, crushing authoritarian force trying to destroy music and African American culture and art. From the very beginning of the film, we are shown, and it's known to us as the audience, that, you know, music is a vehicle in which we express ourselves from deep down within our soul. It's a language, just as cinema is language. What happens when an evil rogue spirit comes to extinguish that, to silence that, to destroy not only what music and art and culture is now, but what it will end up becoming somewhere down the line if that flame is extinguished. You can look at it that way, or you can just look at this movie as a sick-looking, incredibly fun vampire action thriller. You know, Coogler has a lot to say. What I interpret is what happens when ignorant evil comes to sweep arts and culture, especially African American culture, under the rug, and what it means to destroy that and everything that it could become. I mean, even today, there are still people burning books and people erasing history of accomplishment from people who would be considered minorities. This is something that still happens today. If anything, it's stronger than it's ever been. That had a great emotional impact on me. But at the same time, this is still a film that on its surface is just incredibly fun. For anybody who is looking to see a film about people trying to survive an onslaught of attack from vampires, it is that too. And I think that that's one of the things that makes Ryan Coogler such a great filmmaker. He understands both. He understands that he has a lot to say with these characters and with this story and what it all means, but he also is just like, listen, if you want to see people square off in a bar against vampires with Molotov cocktails and machine guns and shit, I'm for that too. Like, let it fucking rip. Like, he totally understands, you know, what it means to have emotional experience in this film of substance that has something to say, but also we are coming to the movies to have fun, and we're gonna do that too. Those worlds collide in this film, and I mean, it's just awesome. Where else do I start with it? I think probably the most impressed I've ever been with anything from Michael B. Jordan. He's never been an actor that I ever really highlighted or circled and went like, man, this guy's a hell of an actor. I really can't wait to see what he does next. I've kind of maybe never really totally seen the versatility that he has up until now. And whether, you know, he has to play these two twins, and one is chaotic and mischievous, and the rules are completely there for the breaking. And he is just such a frustrating kind of shit-disturbing rebel of a character. His brother, who is mostly the protagonist for most of the film, is the straight shooter. He's much more hardened. He's much more protective and defensive, and very much trying to keep his eye on the ball as to what the goal is in front of him. He is kind of just a straight man part of it. But when you see Michael B. Jordan playing these two characters, whether they're not in the same frame or whether they are in the same frame, to me, there's never a misunderstanding as to which character you're watching. He really does a great job of crafting two different personalities. It was just like the first time I really saw him in something where I was like, damn, he really has a versatility and a range that I maybe underestimated at a time, you know? And so I was pretty damn impressed with him. You've got, you know, a host of other solid supporting performances, like Haley Steinfeld does what she needs to do in this film, and Wunmi Masaku. Preacher Boy Sam, the heart and soul of this film, played by Miles, I want to say Caton. I don't know if I'm pronouncing it correctly. Apparently his first film. Pretty fucking impressive. And yeah, heart and soul of this film. Like the music and his performances and just music as a whole is like the heart and soul of this film. But he is like thread, like the needle going through the thread. Like he is, it all goes through him. Like he is just like the complete center, the heart and the epicenter of this film. And he smashed it. Delroy Lindo, who plays Delta Slim, maybe my favorite performance in the film. Incredibly effective, like supporting character acting, as good as you could get it. Great comedic relief, just amazing. I love that character. I love that character, and I love that performance. As much as I talk about Michael B. Jordan and Miles and Delroy Lindo and everybody in the supporting cast, star of this film is the director himself, Ryan Coogler. There are a lot of things in this film. First of all, the concept for the film is fucking bananas to begin with. But there are a lot of things within this film, and I don't want to go into hard details or spoilers or anything, but there are sequences in this film, particularly one almost kind of halfway through the film, where like we are swinging for the fences here. There's a sequence in the middle of this film where, as it started out, as it transpired, I was kind of taken aback, like, wait a minute, are we really going there? Are we really going to do this? And I can't talk about it without spoilers, but there are certain things in a film where if a filmmaker wants to go for a big swing and really like put something on film that could potentially take the viewer out of the film, when they're doing that, it really is a go big or go home moment where, I've said it before on this channel, it's kind of like walking on a tightrope. You're just like, you just got to find a way to make it work. You just kind of got to get there. I could see how some people might be turned off by this scene in this film, but to me, this is maybe the best scene in the film, and maybe by the end of the year, one of my favorite scenes in any film from this year. And it's just this great tribute and homage to music and to the way music has evolved, not just in African American culture, but also in Asian culture. And I can't go into detail about what it is, but it was such a jarring, in a good way, like jaw-dropping sequence that I didn't go into a vampire hunting movie expecting to be emotional, but I was just kind of choked up with chills. It was, as somebody who, even outside of cinema, I've dedicated my life to music and cinema, and I try to make my own music, and my whole life it revolves around music and cinema. And so to see a scene that operates as this great celebration and time capsule of music and culture, it was so awesome. There are not many filmmakers who are brave enough, who have the guts to put it all out on the table like that and do something that, I could totally see somebody being rubbed the wrong way by a scene like that and it not working. But Ryan Coogler just has the juice, man. He's just like, fuck it, we're going to go after this. We're going to do that. And there's a few sequences in this film where it's just like balls of brass steel, like, and I can't help but not love it and have respect for it. This film is a really great tribute to music and everything it represents, what it means to us as human beings, but it's also just a really great, really, really sick action thriller, vampire horror survival film. And, again, great homages to vampire films of the past, films like From Dusk Till Dawn, Blade, but also things like The Thing. There is one scene in this film that is very, very reminiscent of The Thing, but within kind of the context of a vampire film. Like, I just loved it. I thought it was great. When it comes to everything to do with the vampires and the action sequences in this film, it's pretty much, you're kind of just sitting there like, this is exactly what the doctor ordered. I mean, when the film turns there and it becomes a vampire film, everything to do with vampires, and there's also other enemies in play. Everything from that point on, the smile on my face was like, it was like a Joker smile. Like, my face hurt from smiling. The endorphins and the dopamine. This film very much feels like fantasy for somebody like me, because it's not a feeling you get very often when you go to the movies, but you're watching these sequences play out in front of you, and it's like, this is exactly what I wanted. This is exactly where I hoped it would go. This is exactly what I hoped this film would do. As these sequences in the final third are playing out, it was just kind of like dreamy and how it was like shaping up to be exactly what I wanted it to be. And everything about that part of the film was just so damn fun. But I'm not necessarily of the mind that it's a perfect film. The critical acclaim for this film has been out of this world, from critics, from viewers. Everybody's just falling in love with it. And you know what? I'm incredibly happy about that. It's deserved. But I wouldn't necessarily call it perfect. I think, to be honest, this is a film that's just shy of the 2 hour and 20 minute mark. A lot of that film is set up where this film flips over. And when I say flips over, you know what I mean. Vampires. Really, everything to do with blood and guts and action and vampires is not a gigantic portion of the film. If anything, I think that this film may have spent too much time setting things up with all the old characters coming back into play and all these romantic subplots. I don't think all of them worked for me all that well. If anything, I kind of felt like it was just a bit too lopsided in that more of the film is built up toward the vampire segment. I kind of wish there was a little bit more of the vampire segment. I kind of wish we got there a little bit quicker, and not all of the subplots with old flames, old romances, not all of it really hooked me. So while not every part of it works for me, and while I kind of wish we spent a little bit more time in that underworld part of the film, it's still awesome. It's still awesome. I've talked about it on this channel. I've been ragging on the year of 2025 because it's just been an awful year so far in terms of new releases. Finally have our first great film of 2025. I'm just glad we have a great original film to talk about this year. Early in the year, but still. If you maybe were on the fence about seeing this, or you're watching videos like mine to get an idea of whether you should go see it in the theater or not, see this film in the theater. Do not wait for streaming. Do not wait for streaming. Do not just say, oh, it'll be on VOD in 2 or 3 weeks. No. No fucking way. This is a theater experience type of film. These, like, when you go see this movie, you're gonna know what I'm talking about. Like, it's one of those films where, like, this is what we go, like, it sound like Nicole Kidman, that fucking AMC thing. These are the types of movies that you go to a theater for. This is a theater experience type of film. Now, I saw it in a regular screening, but it was a more enhanced audio-visual experience. I'm in Canada and Ontario, and it's called AVX. I'm sure there's an equivalent for that in the US. If you have access to a screening like that, go to it. If you have access to IMAX and you can see the IMAX version of this film, do it that way. I'm kind of thinking about going back and seeing it again in IMAX. There's a theater probably 30, 40 minutes from me that is playing the 70 millimeter IMAX experience. It's the only one in Canada, which is odd. But I'm honestly thinking about going back and seeing it. And the last film I saw twice in the theater was Oppenheimer by Christopher Nolan. Movies like this are a theater experience. It's a great visual audio experience, and it's just a great original film to kind of get lost in for just short of 2.5 hours. This is the type of film we need to support financially. We need to go out and see these movies so that we continue to get more original films from fresh, original, young filmmakers. We cannot let films like this go bust. And it has happened so many times before. People are always saying, we want original films, and if we're going to go back to the theater, that's what we want. Well, now's the time that we need to put our money where our mouth is and actually support it. So if you have any passing interest in Sinners, go to a theater and see it. Don't wait for streaming, VOD, any of that bullshit. Go see it on the biggest screen you can. Go see it in IMAX if you can. I might be going back to do the same thing. As much as I'm not sold on this film being perfect, this is a film that I'm already like, I really want to see it again. That feeling for a brand new film in a theater does not happen often with me. And so it's just so much fun and such an original, refreshing change of pace from what we've been getting. Go support movies like this. And Ryan Coogler is back in the ring, and is just one of those filmmakers where if his name is attached to it, you are going to see it. That's how I feel. Highly recommend Sinners. First great film of 2025. Thank the Lord. If you are into the discussion of old films and new films, you can subscribe to this channel at Watchlist Roulette. If you like this video, you can hit the old thumbs up, because I think that is a good thing for the progress of this channel, I think. If you want to see what I'm watching or what I'm up to, you can follow me on Letterboxd at Nick Koss. And that's about it. Keep watching great films, man. I'm going to try to do the same. Take care of yourself, and I'll see you later.